I was asked to speak on how my department impacts the Federal Reserve and what I do. As I'm able to inform constituents in public arenas, I'd like to start off with what the central bank is. And we refer to it as a three-legged stool. Monetary policy to promote economic growth and stable prices in pursuit of full employment, supervision and regulation of financial institutions to ensure safety and soundness, and maintaining a stable financial system with financial services and electronic payments. The community development function itself supports the Federal Reserve's economic growth objectives by promoting community and economic development and fair and impartial access to credit. We do this various ways. Our outreach, we facilitate coalitions, we partner, we do things with interagencies such as the OCC and the FDIC and other Federal Reserve banks. We conduct extensive research and training. We publish in-depth articles, research, guides, newsletters, publications. And we organize and host conferences, workshops, and numerous other outreach events to groups around community investment, financial education, small business development, healthy communities, and workforce development. Our main three areas of focus are economic development, human capital, financial access, capability, and housing and neighborhood restabilization. Thank you so much. You've been an attentive group.
Good morning, everyone. As a public affairs employee of the nation's central bank, one of our primary responsibilities is to communicate bank messages and provide information about the Federal Reserve Bank to our employees and to the public. We do this by demonstrating distinctive expertise in our public outreach programs. My role as Public Affairs Manager is to coordinate and manage these resources needed to implement these outreach programs. One of our department goals is to deliver key messages about the Fed to deepen the understanding of the Federal Reserve's purposes, functions, and policies. A recent program we have recently implemented in support of this goal are our Public Affairs Employee Education Sessions. These are lunch and learns developed for employees to provide a quick overview of various topics ranging from the purposes and functions of the Fed to financial literacy. In an effort to develop the distinctive expertise that is required in our department, I participate in our own trainings and presentations that we coordinate for employees such as the one today. In order to promote our messages effectively, public speaking is a necessary skill, and as a fairly new employee in this department, developing my own public speaking skills is a high priority of mine. One thing I can say is I can promote our messages, but it's another thing to say, can I promote it effectively? And I have hopefully 10 more seconds that I need to stand up here because I didn't make it 90 seconds. Yes. Thank you.
I work at the Federal Reserve Bank in the Human Resources function, and my work has a direct impact on the organization's mission, values, approach, and goals because our business is centered around employees. The core values revolving around honesty, integrity, diversity, inclusion, and mutual respect are very key to the business of human resources. As we work to recruit and retain talent, our work in evaluating this talent and determining candidates that are best fit for roles, it helps to foster an environment that creates quality work. In order for us to effectively do our job, we have to be keenly aware of initiatives such as diversity and making sure the departments are fully spreading out their pools of diversity as they recruit talent. We also have a strong customer focus and a commitment to employees, which is a piece that is key as we look at business excellence objectives. In addition, the bank's long-term goals of demonstrating distinct expertise and enhancing our reputation all revolve around the fact that employees are what generates the business of the bank. And as an HR function, our job is to make sure that our employees are taken care of, that in areas such as benefits, compensation, their performance, that we take the burden off of those areas so they can focus on providing quality work. And at the end of the day, they produce a positive representation for the Federal Reserve System. Thank you.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. In my position as an analyst in bank administration, I spend about 2/3 of my time supporting the Houston Branch Board of Directors and about 1/3 of my time supporting whatever else senior management needs. And so that can be anything from supporting SMC meetings and doing business excellence reporting to handling any other strategic project that comes up. And so because of my responsibilities, I feel most connected to the district's long-term goals surrounding distinctive expertise and business excellence. For distinctive expertise, I spend a lot of my time preparing briefing products for our board. And so I feel like I'm a conduit between those who have the distinctive expertise within the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, and so that's a lot of our economic research function, a lot of the Globalization and Monetary Policy Institute, and those who are the end users. And so that's our board, the general public, senior management, whoever the customer may be. And additionally, through business excellence, I spend a lot of my time reporting on business excellence efforts in the Houston branch. And so I prepare Darren for SMC meetings by chronicling efforts that we undertake here to improve our day-to-day processes. And I also prepare a lot of work for things that don't necessarily bear my signature at the end of the day. And so I prepare work for other people. And for me, I feel a connection to business excellence in that role because I'm called to exercise it to a high degree. There's a very big burden that comes with preparing something for someone else's signature, for someone else's name at the end of the day. Additionally, personally, I feel a very close tie to the bank's mission, especially as it relates to monetary policy and financial stability. I have a passion for exploring the big issues that come with policies that support that and exploring, reading about them and researching them. And so it makes for a very exciting and fun work environment for me here at the Houston Fed. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Cindy Pena. I work in public affairs. I work for the Federal Reserve Bank in the Houston branch, and my role is to build relationships with financial institutions and the community in the 41 counties that we serve. I help promote the bank's programs in the conference center, and I am here to answer any questions that you have about the Federal Reserve Bank, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Kalunga, and I'm in our Public Affairs Department, and my main role with the Fed is to talk to the public about the Federal Reserve System, whether it be via a tour, on the phone, providing information via the mail, just giving information about the Federal Reserve System and what we do as a central bank. Internally, I also provide information for our management, writing weekly events, providing them information of who the bank is hosting so we can funnel this information up to our Dallas office to kind of support what we do here in our conference center. Dealing with the conference center also helps support the conference center, whether it's helping bring in the group, maintaining their, setting up the event, depending on if it's more of a VIP type of event or not, but just giving support to the groups and talking to the groups when they come into the bank about the Fed, if they have any types of questions concerning what we do as a central bank. I love my job because I think I'm a people person, so I get to talk to people every day, meet different people every day, and with a teaching background, it kind of scratches that itch of what I thought I would be doing, but I get to do it here at the bank as well, so thank you.
My name is Michelle Trevino. Good morning. I oversee our cash operations here at the Federal Reserve Bank. And as relates to the Federal Reserve Bank, we kind of have a three-tier approach in terms of how we serve our constituents. And as it relates to cash operations, we support the public when they come into the bank and they have an opportunity to observe what we do from our overlook in our visitor center. They get an opportunity to see the cash operations actually in action, see us processing currency, and they get to ask a lot of different questions, and they also get an opportunity to quiz themselves on how well they are at detecting counterfeits within the exhibit itself. We also serve the financial services industry by distributing currency to all of the financial institutions within our territory, along with the San Antonio territory through our cash depot in San Antonio. We also work in conjunction with the federal government as it relates to the U.S. Treasury and the Mint. We work with the BEP when we're distributing new currency and ordering new currency as well, and new coins through the Mint. My passion truly comes through, though, as it relates to how I connect the dots on a day-to-day basis, and that's by supporting my team in the cash department. My team is really focused on how do we improve efficiencies by improving our BPH and some of our efficiency targets within the department. And oftentimes, it's really tough for them. They're doing an 11-hour day, and so a lot of times I'm asking myself the question, how can I support them? How can I be a resource for them on a day-to-day basis? What do they need in order to do their job better? Is it training? Is it more break time or less break time? Or is it shifting the teams or giving them a new opportunity to do something different? Also, we're looking at the bank strategy. And even though we're in a compliance environment, how do we be innovative? And also see that as part of connecting the dots as it relates to our strategic direction. And so in cash operations, we're being innovative as it relates to evolving operations. It's very new, it's something that employees are getting used to, and it's helping them understand the bigger picture and how they play a role in that bigger picture in achieving more efficiencies and getting better at doing cash, even though it's something that we've done for a very long time on the same way. And so this is something very new for them, even though it's a very compliance-oriented environment. Thank you.
Good morning. Speaking about grocery products, on the way to work today, I was listening to a program talking about how strategic supermarkets are in placing their products. The one particular product that they were referring to was milk, and how customers have to navigate their way through the store to get to their product, and which is needed. Here at the Fed, our product, we also have a milk, but many of our constituents aren't aware of how to get the milk, much less know that we have the milk to offer. And so I feel like the public outreach programs are key and essential for the Fed, and the way in which we deliver them to be able to draw in the constituents to receive this milk. So my role in being able to do that is to be able to collect our outreach data so that we can forecast and predict our planning for the future. I do that in conjunction with the public affairs outreach programs, the community affair outreach programs, as well as the financial education outreach programs. The second part of my job is to introduce the public's key main objectives, and I do this to our tour programs. The challenge in that is to be able to introduce new products that are available, such as the Building Wealth catalog that's just been introduced, and how do I incorporate that with the public. Thank you.
So I took this question as how, when you're in the public, people approach you and they ask you, where do you work? And then when you tell them where you work, they ask you, what do you do? Right. All right, so I work for the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, Houston branch. We serve 41 counties in Southeast Texas, providing financial services, banking supervision support, and conduct monetary policy research and investigate business trends within our community. Specifically, I work with the board of directors and other professionals in the bank who work in human resources, public affairs, and law enforcement. In human resources, our primary objective is to try to connect the department needs with our recruiting and development programming to be able to focus on a future of bringing high-talented, highly motivated individuals to the bank. In law enforcement, our primary responsibility is just securing the facility. We have to do that with a very vigilant posture, having to be very professional in managing our interactions with our customers, and just really pursuing business excellence on an ongoing basis, because every day you never know when a potential vulnerability might raise its head. On the public programs and board of directors side, it's very much relationship orientated and trying to measure and understand the animal spirits of what's going on in the economy, being able to translate that information into a context that's digestible for our board members, that's digestible for our colleagues in Dallas, and then that helps others in the community better understand how they can relate and interact to the bank and our programs, especially our programs in community development and financial education. So that's what we do.
Good morning. I work for the Federal Reserve Bank in the Public Affairs Department. My role as a public affairs representative is to engage the branch employees with internal communications, like our employee newsletter, The Guardian Post, as well as other internal activities to help promote and foster our healthy relationship with other employees. For external guests, my job is to support the conference center with bank tours, which gives the attendees a firsthand look at what we do with bank operations in the cash department as well as with the conference center. Also, as a support staff member, I help other public affairs department employees prepare for their programs and activities. And also, because we communicate the importance of the bank being the central bank of the United States through all of these activities, it's essential that we get the opportunity to be effective and to relay the importance of the bank during all of these activities. One additional aspect of my role is the communications coordinator for Houston Money Week, in which it is a citywide financial education initiative. With this, it provides me the opportunity to serve over 100 community partners to help them foster relationships with each other to create and establish good financial programming for Houstonians every year. And while no day is the same, being a member of public affairs, I know that our work is very valuable internally and externally. Thank you.
Around here, I'd like to show, this is a map of the district here, and under community development, we have offices in every Federal Reserve Bank. And our goal is to help ensure economic growth, which is part of the Federal Reserve's mission. Now, we just came out with a new portal called Fed Communities.
Economic growth, are you kidding? Economic growth? Have you seen the statistics? Economic growth has not been seen since 2007. You guys did a great job with that one, lady.
Well, ma'am, you know,
But are you?
I listen to you right now.
My husband was without a job. My children can't get jobs.
Ma'am, I understand. And
who do you call man?
I'm, Miss Susan, I understand your concern.
I'm thinking you my first name.
Ms. Kaiser, I understand your concern. And if you would just wait a few minutes after I finish talking to this group, you and I can have a good talk together, if you don't mind. Thank you.
So one of the programs that we have recently implemented in our public affairs program to help educate employees about the purposes and functions of the Fed are our public affairs employee education sessions.
Is that with our tax dollars?
No, they are not with their tax dollars. They're not with,
federal in the front.
but we're not a federal, we're not a government, and we don't report to the, oh, Lord. We don't,
Sorry,
yeah, you just got me all like twisted. Thank you, Jaime. We're a quasi-governmental agency. Sorry, I got all hot. My bad. Oh, yes, we are a quasi-government. Oh, my hot, bless her.
Would you like to start over?
Yes, I would like to start over. Well, hold up. My ears are hot.
So just so you know, that whole exchange only took 59 seconds.
Oh, sure felt a lot longer.
So we appreciate you all being here today for a tour of the bank. One of the things that we want to talk to you about is some of the purposes and functions of the bank and how it's structured. One of the things that I get the privilege of being able to do is working with our board of directors. One of the things that most people don't realize about the Federal Reserve is that we're quasi-governmental. And in being quasi-governmental, it means that we actually have employees that, excuse me, sir.
Do you mean to tell me that you have a board that comes in here to run this
We do, and that one of the reasons why we do that is because that board gives us an opportunity to respond to public concerns and things that are not necessarily information that we might see internally. No, well, there's an interesting process that happens there. Our board members actually have to be nominated through our Dallas board.
No, I see how it is. No, you guys are just bringing the bankers in to give them inside information. That's all this is.
What's interesting is that there are bankers and there are corporate corporate citizens who are also part of the process, so it's not just bankers only. You know, one of the things I can do to help you is to...
This is all rich people in New World Order stuff right here.
Yeah, so one of the things I can do to help you is share with you this publication on the structure and the functions of the Fed. One of the things that we're going to do for this tour, though, is we're going to keep moving along so that we get to some of the other parts of the exhibit. The directorship part is very interesting, though, and I think a lot of people don't understand it.
It's really been a pleasure having you guys here. What I wanted to do, in HR, we work in a function that handles our employees, and when you guys are thinking about jobs and where you think you want to work, look at this map. You have tons of opportunities to be a part of the Federal Reserve System, so it's not just here in Houston.
So I've put in an application online,
Sure.
and it's been a year now, and I haven't heard from anyone. And I've applied to all of these different places.
That's great. I'm glad that you have interest in the bank, and what we can do is when we finish with this discussion, we can come down to my office and we can take a look and see where your application is.
But so you should have it though, because I applied over a year ago, and you guys said you had some openings in banking supervision, and I applied. I didn't hear anything.
Gotcha. Well,
So
I hear you.
When do people get information back?
Sure. That's a great question. So with our application process, when you apply, we have hundreds of applicants. So what I want to do is make sure that I have yours. Let's make sure nothing happened in the pipeline, that you really truly applied, and then
I got a confirmation email. It was
did?
from somebody named Angela Conway.
Oh, well, great. That's me. So when we finish up, I'll get with you directly and we'll make sure we get you taken care of.
All right, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Houston branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. My name is Seth Dunbar. I'm an analyst here at the Fed. I work very closely with our board of directors and our senior management.
You're an analyst. Hey, I see that sign over there that says, who pays for the Fed? Do we, the taxpayer, we pay your salary?
Ma'am, we're outside of the governmental appropriations process, actually.
Why
We
does
are.
it say federal up there?
We're the Federal Reserve. We work with the government, but we are not of the government.
What are you reserving?
So we act as a reserve
But it
bank.
says, who pays? We pay.
So the Federal Reserve actually is a
They
profit
pay.
center for the United States government. We
Really?
return 96% of what we take in every year. We only use about 4% of our operating income.
Well, what's 96%?
I'll have to look that up for you. Can I get that information to you toward the end of our tour,
You
please?
don't know.
Off the top of my head, at this moment, I do not.
All right, so thank you all for coming today. We appreciate you visiting the Federal Reserve Bank. No, sir, please, sir. We don't take any pictures here in the visiting center.
That's my money.
That's
right
one
there.
of
Why
our
can't
rules.
I take pictures?
I understand your concern, but if you come back to the group, let's talk on this side. No.
Welcome to the Federal Reserve. Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you. Welcome to the Federal Reserve Bank. This is our visitor center. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and get started with the tour. Excuse me. We're going to get started with the tour. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Again, welcome to the Fed.
Welcome to the Fed.
Sir,
Sir.
you have a question?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, and to save time, I'm going to save questions for a little bit later. So let me go ahead and get into my program. And
My dad used to work for the Board of Governors in Washington and blah, 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 blah. I'm hijacking your conversation, blah, 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 blah,
sir,
blah, blah, blah.
can I ask you to come over here and stand in the sign, please?
Why don't you say
Because I'm waiting by law enforcement officer. Oh man.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Trevino, and I oversee our cash operations. And one of the things that's really unique about the Federal Reserve Bank is that we distribute currency throughout the entire Federal Reserve System. And as we distribute the currency throughout the Federal Reserve System, what we're doing is banks who are our customers actually deposit currency at the bank.
Are you giving out those new 100s today?
What do you mean giving them out?
Well, you have new 100s. Don't you print them here? Can't you just give us them?
Actually, we don't print currency here. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing actually prints the currency, and they're actually located in Washington, D.C. and in Dallas. We actually just distribute to banks. And so what the banks do is they actually place an order, and then we fill that order on a daily basis. So it's really through the...
interview say that you guys print money. So you're telling me that you don't print money now?
The Federal Reserve itself does not print money. We actually distribute the
Then why did
currency.
Ben Bernanke say in his interview that you guys print money?
I'm not really sure what Ben Bernanke said, but I do know that the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is actually the only ones that actually print the currency.
Okay.
We just distribute
You
it.
should check on that.
Thank Thank you.
And you guys aren't on the gold standard anymore?
No, we're not on the gold standard.
Why'd you stop?
That's a
That
good
seems like
question.
That's a better way for us to manage it, is that currency should all be backed by some kind of gold.
But I think when currency is backed by gold, that's actually a commodity, and so the value of that commodity fluctuates. And so that's one of the reasons why we're no longer on the gold bar system, on the gold system.
Guys, I want to welcome you to the Federal Reserve Bank. I want to remind you there's no photography. Save your questions. No heckling. Save your questions to the end of the tour. We've got a lot to see in a short time to see it. But I do want, while we're here, I do want to explain the Visitor Center. This section of the Visitor Center is designated to explain the Federal Reserve System. This portion of the Visitor Center explains more detail of what the economy is like or was like in Houston. Excuse me, ma'am?
I heard that there were deadly chemicals next door. Do y'all own that? And so what about those deadly chemicals over there?
She brings a good question. Will you step up here? I want to kind of address that with the crowd, because that is a very, no, not at all. Step up here. Well, I'm glad to answer that question for you.
What
Well,
are they doing next door?
you know, the property next door belongs to the city.
I know it's got a lot of money here.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question
Do
again?
you own that also? Because I noticed you got a lot of money here. You probably own that also.
You know, ma'am, we actually pay tax dollars to support that area.
You know, I think
No.
you're the one that actually put Dallas on front of the building. in the first place.
You know, that is a good question, sir. If it was up for me,
Oh, yeah. Why is the Mexican
oh, yeah.
But you do know that we're Houston and not
All right. You know what? Time out. I know y'all got good questions.
So you own
Rosa.
that whole border thing, all those people, is it about immigration? Are you guys a part of that thing?
God, you guys came with a lot of good questions. Why don't we go upstairs and sit down and discuss them? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I invite each and every one of you, when your name gets called, you'll walk right over here. So this is how it'll go. Susan will call your name, and whatever order comes out, you'll walk through here, and you'll come on this stage. And then you'll have and then what we'll do is you will not start until you get a large cheer and applause from your colleagues. Then you go to your 60 seconds to 90 seconds.
2 minutes for Jackie.
2 minutes per second. And at the end, you'll get another round. Do not leave until you get your another round of applause and just bow to the people before you leave. If you walk off, I'll call you back before your turn. All right?
We have to be able to.
I mean, that's one of you have. You can start, we'll start from that.
Have to be on the stage and experience the applause.
You're beginning.
Experience the applause. It's harder than you think.
Yes, sir. Susan, what would you like to add?
That's it.
All right. Any questions about it? And I'm going to cheer wildly, so don't let me be no one. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Federal Reserve Public Affairs Department, Angie Montalongo.
Okay. So this one time in band camp. All right, so why do I do what I do? I think for me, I want to be part of a team. And being part of a team is important to me because as a kid, I always wanted to participate in sports and participate in things. And growing up in my household, we didn't do any extracurricular activities, and we had to just come home, and it was, had a very strict father, and so they actually let me join a softball team for 1 year, and within 2 weeks, 2 girls, well, one girl broke her arm, another girl broke her ankle, and so I didn't even get to make it to one game before my parents pulled me out. So I had to experience part of a team for just a little bit, and so being a part of the public affairs team is really important, and I take that with great pride, and I just enjoy working with everybody in public affairs, and hope to continue to do that for a really long time. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Go Team Angie.
How many minutes was that?
That was 1 minute and 12 seconds. The same face, a new name, Erica Gloy Jones, to the stage.
As you know, I have 2 daughters, and my oldest is 7, and I've given her a picture of Benjamin Franklin. And I asked her, Raya, who is this? And she says, Abraham Lincoln, with confidence. And I said, no. I said, try again. She says, well, I don't know. And I said, well, that's Benjamin Franklin. I said, do you know where Benjamin Franklin is? She says, in heaven. I said, true, very true. I said, but let's try one more time. I was like, do you know where Benjamin Franklin is? She says, no. And I said, he's on some money. She said, oh, money, I like money. I said, yes, he's on a $100 bill. She says, well, why do you have Benjamin Franklin? She wanted to know why I had this picture. And I said, well, we use this picture with Mommy's job to help teach people how to work with money and to spend it wisely. She says, oh, that makes sense. I said, that makes sense. So now, when she tells people what Mommy does, she says, Mommy helps people spend their money wisely. So I know that what I do, if it can affect a 7-year-old to remember what I do every day, then what we do makes a difference with people who are older than 7. So it's important, no matter how we get the message across, that it does get across. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Erica, you need to come back up to the stage. You need to come back up. So this is what you're not going to be allowed to do. We started clapping, and Erica left the stage. So I want Erica to stay here, and I want us to applaud her, and I want to her to feel how much we appreciated her story and her allowing us to connect with her. So, yeah! Thank you. So what was the name of that superhero? He's not Bill Cosby, but he's almost as funny. The Brown Hornet, brought to you by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, Houston branch, Donald Bowers.
I don't really have anything to say. I don't. You guys say you know all my stories?
No,
so you just kind of like made me just take everything and just drop it.
Dig deep. Why?
I heard all my stories.
Why?
So that's why I'm here.
Why?
Got 30 seconds left.
There's a right story.
So that's why I'm here.
Why?
Don't pick on me too much.
Why?
Don't cry.
Not from Rice.
I don't have any stories.
No football story. No leaving on the field type stuff.
I do have one story, Angela. It was a story from yesterday.
Go for it.
And it was, you were asking me a question about putting together a group.
Yes.
And I told you about the ride I had with Austin. And that he was asking me a question. And my response to him was, what do you think? And so Angela was asking me a question yesterday, and my response to her was, what did she think? And Austin told me that I don't ever answer any questions. I always respond with, what do you think, or with some other kind of question to him. And I don't know why it's that way, but it is that way. I don't know that that has anything to do with why I work at the bank or why I don't work at the bank. I don't know if it has anything to do with anything. It's an observation of life from yesterday. Thank you very much.
Well, stay right here, stay right here. Stay right here. Thank you, Mr. Bowers. Oh, he's back. Proving that public affairs is a very open-minded department, from business admin, Seth Dunbar, come to the stage. Go.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Seth Dunbar. I'd like to take a few minutes this afternoon to tell you why I'm proud to work for our nation's central bank. My grandfather was born on a farm in Central Florida. He grew up without a floor. He grew up without electricity. My parents didn't graduate from college. And in September, I'll be starting a master's program at Texas A&M University. You see, my story is not unique. In fact, it's fairly common here in the United States. And it's common for a reason. Since our creation, we've been founded on the idea of freedom. Economic freedom, social freedom, philosophical freedom, all the freedom. And that's allowed us to form a very vibrant economy that can be an engine for ideas and opportunities. And that economic opportunity, the equality of economic opportunity, is very important to me, because it's allowed me and 3 generations to accomplish things that people in other nations wouldn't be able to imagine. Since 2008, the financial crisis, our nation's been introduced to a host of challenges. From economic, financial, political, they run the entire gamut. And so I'm proud to be able to work here at the Federal Reserve, our nation's central bank, the custodian of our economy, to put my best efforts forward to serve our nation and to work on those challenges, to ensure that I can provide the same range of economic opportunities to my children, to my grandfather, my grandmother, and both of my parents afforded to me. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, there we go. Stand up, turn it up. Woo. Good job. In her mind, in her mind, she's Catwoman, but to us, she's Jackie Hoyer, the best community development person in the system. Come on up, Jackie.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, you know, community development is involved in one of our major themes is housing and neighborhood stabilization. And a few years ago, I was in Sunday school at Miller Avenue Baptist Church. And, you know, we went through the whole Sunday school thing, the lesson and everything. The teacher said, Jackie, I want you to stay after. I'm crazy, what did I do wrong? What did I answer wrong? So she said, I want you to meet this lady. Little frail lady came up, about 70-something years old. I want you to see if you can help her. She's been in her house for 27 years. She's 1 month behind on her mortgage payment of $300, and she has no one to help her. So I took her name and information. I said, ma'am, let me see what I can do. I said, I might know some people that can help you. And that was so, I could not wait until Monday because that was so heavy laden on my heart. So I called my good friends at the Urban League. And I gave them the situation, gave them the lady's name and number, and they saved foreclosure. she only had 3 years left, so she was able to stay in her house. And these are the types of things that the Federal Reserve does in an indirect way or a direct way in helping people in their economic situations. Thank you.
Yeah. Stay right there. Yeah. Awesome. Not quite as famous as Michael Strahan. She also attended TSU. Angela, come on up. She's in our Hall of Fame.
So imagine a girl sitting at home in her bed, she gets a phone call. This phone call says, tomorrow you have a job interview. Okay. Who do I have a job interview with? Federal Reserve. Okay, just be ready. Okay. Get to school the next day and have an interview with this lady. Kind of Catwoman-like. Jackie White. She starts an internship at the Federal Reserve Bank. Fast forward 2 more years. Imagine a girl walking on the college campus. She gets a phone call. You want to come work at the Federal Reserve? Sure. Doing what? As a management intern. Okay. That calls from this man kind of like a hey kind of guy. So now fast forward 12 more years later in my role in HR. What I do in HR, our business is employees, whether it's that college student on campus or it's the professional person that's been laid off. Our job is to bring employees into the bank, teach them about what we do, and to serve as the buffer between benefits and comp and all of the things that they need when they leave the bank so that we can help them focus on doing their job at the bank. Because at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that the mission of the Federal Reserve gets executed. Whether you're in cash, whether you're in public affairs, whether you're in law enforcement, every person plays a role in the business of the bank. And so in HR, what we do is make sure that employees have all these other needs taken care of so they can take care of the bank's needs.
Awesome. Stay. Thank you.
That's really a true story.
No. She might be small, but she's big to us. Michelle, come on up.
So, a couple of months ago, my oldest son, Eric, had the opportunity through his school to sing at, what's the name of the place, downtown, the Blues, House of Blues, right? So he's up on this big stage, and the teacher gives them an opportunity to do a little individual solo. They got about a minute. And he gets up there and he belts out Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. I mean, just the whole pause and everything. And what I loved, I mean, I was out there going crazy. I was that biggest cheerleader. And what I loved was that little sense of accomplishment, that I did it in his eyes, that he was just lit up. And I was reflecting back and thinking back about how many times at home, he's just singing at the top of the lungs. I'm doing the dishes, or I'm folding clothes, or watching TV, and he's just singing his little heart out. And I'm like, hey, good job, that's awesome. And what it made me think about was how here at work, am I supporting my staff? Am I supporting my employees? Hey, good job. Hey, that was awesome, that the way you did that, or anything along those lines. And what I really connected to was when those employees, in the smallest way possible, do something that's really awesome. It's the little things that count. So that way, when it builds up to that crescendo point, when they're actually on the stage and they have that sense of, I did it, I'm right there supporting them every step of the way. So that's what I connect to. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Down to 2. You might know him as the milkman, but we know him as Frank. Come on up and bring your milk. All right, let's hear it for Frank. Come on.
All of us have a past, and some of us choose to recognize our past. The other day, Susan Kaiser stepped in my office and allowed me to recall some of those moments. And one of the things that she brought up was, and identified, and pointed out to me, is that I'm the first generation of immigrants, or first generation Mexican American, and pointed out the position that I'm in, and how far I've come based on my background and my upbringing. And so it allowed me to really chew on that a little bit, because, you know, I kind of tend to forget that and don't appreciate, you know, the path that I've been led to, and to the position that I'm in right now. I look back and I see how my family struggled to not only make ends meet, but just to understand how businesses is handled, how to apply for a mortgage, how to, much less, you know, apply their children to go to school. And so what that made me lead to is how important it is for us to be able to share that knowledge, share the experiences that we had. And so I'm able to take that and apply that with the visitors that come in, help them with understanding the importance of credit, help them understand the importance of budget. And when we have students come in, that's where my passion kind of is directed to, is these high school students. Thank you.
From the blue hairs to the elementary kids, if you're coming to see the bank, you need to ask for James. Come on up, James.
Well, I don't know if all of you know, but I started here at the bank in the mailroom, then I went to checks or to payments. And a few years into my career here, I got a call from Bob Smith to come down, talk to him, and he offered me a position in bank administration. And most of y'all who know me, back then, you know, it was a job, but I had tons of friends in payments, and it was more fun than work or work stuff. I don't know what it was, but I enjoyed coming to work to hang out with my friends. So Bob called me down to, you know, talk to him, and I'm obviously intimidated. He calls in Jennifer Tellefson, who's a very cool girl, lady, but also intimidating, at least to me at the time. I was like, man, you know, this girl's smart, knows all about the Fed, this and that, and I'm going to be under her. So one of my main roles at the beginning was to learn about the Federal Reserve, because obviously all I do was processing checks, the mailroom. I didn't know nothing about the Fed. So my first few days there was to learn about the Fed, you know, what we do, purposes and functions. And then it came around where, you know, you're going to start doing tours. And I'm like, what? So the next day she says, you know, tomorrow you're going to do a tour. I went home, had the book in my hand. I was, you know, oh my gosh, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to do this and that. And don't cover your ears. But I called in sick that next day. I was so freaked out, I called in sick. So full of anxiety and things that I called in sick. And when I was at home that day, I was so embarrassed. That was the most embarrassing thing. So from that point on, I said, you know what, I'm going to own this tour thing and just kind of go for it. and it's kind of evolved over the last, I don't know how many years, but anyway, that kind of leads me into enjoying the tour program, enjoying talking to people, especially the students, because I do have a teaching background, so it all kind of just fell into place for me on that side of my position here at the job. So anyway, that's my story.
Thank you.